Anyway, it is 9:18 a.m. August 20th, 20 of the 22, and we're back for more The Legend of Heroes Cold Steel. Trails of Cold Steel for the PC.
Right.
I got myself a salami torpedo to snack on. Okay. So let's see, what do we got here? We completed the jeweler's request even if it left us feeling more than a little conflicted. Once we felt we were done with everything else, we walked out onto the Aurochs Canyon path. We needed to exterminate the monster there, then go right to Aurochs Fort to report to the soldiers. We exterminated the monster on the canyon path, but Machias and Eustace failed to form a proper combat link with one another. They immediately started arguing over who was responsible, which caused us all to let our guards down. This was all the opportunity the monster we thought we'd defeated needed to lunge towards them. I managed to get between the monster and Machias and Eustace, but I was hurt in the process. Fee defeated the monster and Emma performed first aid on me, so I was just fine. Machias and Eustace seemed to feel responsible for what happened, though. They kinda were, honestly. I agreed to take it easy for a while to recover. We did have to hurry to Aurochs Fort, though, since we wanted to be back in Bareahard before it got dark. As we walked, I checked up on my wound, which had already mostly healed. Whatever Emma did, it worked wonders. We couldn't help but notice that Fee seemed surprisingly used to battle for someone her age. So what kind of environment did she grow up in, anyway? We didn't really have time to ponder that, but I'm still curious. It's probably like a Joshua thing. We arrived at Aurochs Fort, one of the Kruchen Provincial Army bases, to report the monster's extermination. We saw a freight train going past near the fort. It seemed to be carrying a number of Reinford's latest main battle tanks called Auctions. Eustace's reaction to them was somewhat curious, though. When we were finally able to give our report on the monster's extermination, unsurprisingly, the Provincial Army was quick to recognize Eustace and treated him with the utmost. One of the soldiers said the main battle tanks we saw earlier belonged to the Provincial Army, and that the fort itself underwent some significant construction last month. After hearing that, it was time to head back to town. Machias pressed Eustace on the Provincial Army's armaments, saying that they were excessive. Eustace responded that they were simply a result of the factional conflict. It seems it's getting even more serious than we thought. Serious so delirious. Night was quickly approaching, so we decided to double-time it back to Bareahard. Our journey wasn't quite as simple as we'd hoped, of course. It never is. We'd heard the wails of sirens coming from the fort and saw a mysterious silver object flying away. What's more, it looked like it had a child riding on top of it. Several soldiers gave chase, telling us that there had been an intruder in Aurochs Fort. Given how quickly it was flying, though, I'm not surprised they couldn't catch it. At this point, my injury from earlier had completely healed. Emma's grandmother's medicine had really done the trick. Just like that, I was properly combat ready again. We finally reached Bareahard as the sun went down and decided to go back to the hotel. Noise. We still have that book to read, don't we? Chapter 4. Chapter 4. The Black Vampire. Two people ran through the streets of Heimdall down cobblestones dewed with moonlight. In the lead was Rose, her navy blue coat flapping in the wind like the wings of a hawk as she pursued their foe. Just behind her, and shocked by her speed, was Alphonse, head whipping left and right as he searched for Luca. There had been no sign of her on the short path between the tavern and the grocery store, where she had apparently been sent. When Rose had sensed the ominous presence of the vampire outside the tavern, she immediately set about following it. Alphonse didn't know what kind of trail she had picked up, but she flew down the streets and narrow paths without hesitation, as if following a puppet's strings back to its master. To find his friend, they now followed the vampire, spurred by what terrible certainty that the two were connected. Yeek! The sound of a piercing shriek filled the air, sending a chill up Alphonse's spine and freezing him to the spot. There was no mistaking its owner. It was Luca's voice. And a freaking fly is on my monitor. It's starting to piss me off. Freaking thing. Luca, Alphonse cried. Where are you? The scent is coming from this way. Rose called before rushing down a narrow alleyway. Alphonse followed, stumbling over his own feet in his desperate attempt to keep up with her. He could barely breathe from running so much, but he ignored the tightness in his chest and sped on. Kicking aside boxes and garbage piled here and there on the path, he eventually reached the other side of the alleyway and emerged into a neighboring street. In it stood someone, or something. It was draped in a black overcoat, the upper half of its head wrapped in a large cloth. Not even its eyes were visible. The only part of the body that remained uncovered was the bottom half of its face, a deathly pale expanse of flesh with a twisted smile at its center. At first glance, it almost seemed human. Alphonse was not fooled. This is it, he thought. This is the vampire. It was then that he realized the black-clad figure was holding something in its arms. Luca. Just as that realization hit, the vampire's rictus of a grin yawned wide as it opened its jaws. Alphonse caught a fleeting glimpse of beast-like fangs. Too long, too sharp to be human. Seeing them, Alphonse instantly recalled the bite marks on the murder's victims' necks. As he watched, horrified, those needle-like teeth descended towards Luca's throat. Rose was the first to act. In a movement so fast he could barely track it, she withdrew several thin objects from the inside of her cloak and threw them at the vampire. Alphonse remembered her showing him them as part of her vampire hunting kit. The knives flashed in the moonlight as they sped towards the creature. As it was about to sink its fangs into Luca, the vampire turned towards them, dodging the knives just in time. Luca fell to the ground and the vampire jumped high into the air, descending just behind Alphonse. It happened so fast that Alphonse was still staring at the spot the vampire had been when it landed silently behind him. The creature that was terrorizing Heimdall, the murderer of countless women, the thing that had attacked Luca, it was so close. Anger overrode fear. Alphonse grasped the hilt of his military saber and drew it. He spun around, slashing horizontally across the vampire's chest. The blade made contact. The vampire laughed. Alphonse watched transfixed as the wound on the creature's chest healed. The next instant, the vampire punched its right fist out towards the pit of Alphonse's stomach at incredible speed and got thrown out of the ballpark. Gah! The impact was so great that it forced him back, expelling all of the air from his lungs. And while he was able to protect his vital organs, he had still suffered the full brunt of the blow. He doubled over in agony. Get down, Rose cried out from behind him. With no choice but to obey her as best he could, he let himself fall limply to the ground. As he did, the stir of air from Rose's lightning-fast rapier thrust ruffled his hair as it passed. The vampire didn't laugh this time. Perhaps sensing danger from the rapier's silver radiance, it threw up its left arm in defense. The blade pierced flesh, and Rose followed through with her strike, skewering the limb right through to the other side. The tip stopped just before reaching the creature's chest. White smoke poured from the wound. Unlike Alphonse's earlier attack, it seemed Rose's had actually been able to damage it. Rose tried to move the sword, but it was struck fast. The vampire smiled again. Heh, so you must be the vampire hunter responsible for sealing those ghouls. She ignored him and tried the sword again. I had heard that many of my brethren had fallen at the hands of a vampire hunter, he continued, in a low, sibilant voice, but I certainly did not expect the hunter in question to be a mere girl. Rose gave a derisive laugh. Brethren, I think you will find the word is meant for humans, not beasts like your kind. The vampire hissed, and as she bared her teeth at it as they both fought for control of the sword. Rose tried pushing forward, urging the blade on while the vampire kept the muscles in his forearms as rigid as steel to thwart her movement. Still lying on the ground, Alphonse gathered just enough strength to begin crawling his way to Luca's side. When he reached her, a quick check lessened the mad pounding of his heart. She was unconscious, but otherwise unharmed. Relief washed over him. Rose's voice brought Alphonse back to the situation at hand. She and the vampire were still locked together, each refusing to yield. If we were to stay here like this until morning, your power would be sure to weaken significantly. I would be happy to spend the night with you until then if you wish, she suggested to it. It made an unsettling sound somewhere between a snort and a laugh. I'm afraid I will have to refuse your kind proposal, my beautiful lady. Not least because thanks to you and your pitiful human friend, my evening meal has been rather spoiled. Kind of like former host Jeff's potato salad. As it uttered those words, the vampire's outline began to blur. Alphonse blinked rapidly, trying to clear his vision, but it was no trick of the shadows. The creature's form was dissipating into a fine black mist. Though its mouth was disappearing like the rest of it, its voice somehow carried on. Should either of you ever seek to disturb my dinner again, I hope you are prepared for the consequences. And then it was gone. Silence fell. Gradually, Alphonse got used to the pain in his chest from the vampire's blow. He counted it good fortune that he'd only lost his breath and not broken any bones. With a final steadying wheeze, he hoisted the unconscious Luca on his back and rose slowly to his feet. I guess that's not the end of our vampire, then, he said unhappily. Rose was inspecting her sword for damage. Finding none, she returned it to its sheath. Turning their body to mist is one of the many abilities vampires have. It escaped from us this time, but I expect that it'll take some days for its left arm to heal. At the very least, I think it's safe to assume that no one else will be attacked tonight. It sounds like vampires are unbelievable foes to be up against. That's a relief, though, at least. Still, he added, you're pretty unbelievable yourself. Rose shook her head. Their loss obviously rankled her. Next time, she said with steel in her voice, it won't get away. I'm going to find some stronger equipment, and I will finish it for good. Alphonse nodded. Next time they would have it. They might not have been able to defeat the vampire, but at the very least, they had earned a short respite from danger, having saved Luca and prevented another murder from occurring. And without Rose's assistance, none of it would have been possible. That's true. Thank you, Rose. If you hadn't been here... She cut him off with a dismissive wave of the hand. There is no reason to thank me. I was simply doing my duty. You said duty. Dejected, Alphonse fell silently. But these murders are not over yet. We will need to discover the true identity of the vampire for that to happen. Yeah, he said at length. You're right. Either way, should we go and investigate another crime scene tomorrow like we discussed earlier? Indeed. Farewell for now. And with that, she left. She didn't even wait for Alphonse's response, a fact that left him feeling even more downhearted, considering all they had been through that night. Afterwards, Alphonse took Luca to her home. As he walked, she finally woke up, finding herself on his back. She flushed and stammered her way through his questions. She remembered nothing of what had happened to her. It seemed unable to tell her the truth. Alphonse simply said that he had found her collapsed outside. It was probably just fatigue from work, he told her. Thankfully, she seemed convinced. All the while, as he tried to feign cheerfulness to put her at ease, his mind was still focused on the battle earlier. He hadn't stood a chance against the vampire. He hadn't even forgot the silver short sword that Rose had given him. In the heat of battle, he had simply fallen back on his military training and used his saber. For all the good that had done, while he had at least been able to avoid getting in Rose's way, he felt ashamed as an Imperial soldier. Next time, he swore to himself, he would not let her down. He would help bring an end to the murderer's voice once and for all. Murders once and for all. Where did I get voice from? With the beep? As Alphonse hardened his resolve that night, Rose navigated the dark streets alone, her mind fixated on the past. The sight of Alphonse on the ground after being struck by the vampire, the image of his friend who had almost lost her life, been turned into a ghoul, the vision of that one cursed memory she desperately sought to forget. Am I on the verge of making the same mistake a second time? She wondered aloud. She stopped in her tracks, brow furrowed and expression meek, and looked up to where the crimson moon hung like a giant malevolent eye in the sky. Eye in the sky. And that concludes Chapter 4. Good times. Okay. Get the rest of this dialogue before we head back to the hotel and call it a night. How you doing? Come along now, Vino. It's time for us to go home. Kasho! I'm acting like an airship, can't you tell? Not really, no. Not really, no. Cathedral. More tourists. The Mass here truly was entirely an entirely different experience from elsewhere. There was much to learn from the Archbishop's sermon, too. This truly was a fascinating Mass. I'd like to come along every day during my stay here. That's nice. One's social standing is irrelevant where faith in Adios is concerned. A certain turning point in my life led me to believe this, too. That's nice. While the class system may be prevalent within Erebonia, it does not serve as a means to judge people's value. You're damn right. Bum 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 bum. How you doing? How you doing, Roger? Roger Ebert? Bum, bum, bum. Our only enemy is our lack of faith. Today's Mass was splendid as always. As such, I must continue to offer my prayers. That's nice. Butler, Carrigan. No one here seems to have seen anyone resembling Lady Annabelle either. Perhaps she truly isn't here in Bareahard after all. The very least I can do for now is pray for her safety. Of course, she was the, one who lost her ticket back at Keldic. Our cathedral is listed in many tourist guides, it would seem. The publicity ensures we have a steady stream of people visiting. Hope these visitors will take the chance to deepen their faith here. Bareahard Cathedral has a long history behind it. As a result, it has played a role in wars, too. Many people fled here to seek shelter during the War of the Lions. It was they who painted the fresco on the wall here, even. I do hope you can all feel the emotions that they must have poured into its creation. Well, yeah. Naturally, sir. Duke Cayenne of the Lamar province, who is effectively the faction's leader, is said to be quite the gaudy one. I don't doubt it. Meanwhile, Duke Alberea believes that he stands above all others. Those two get along as well as oil and water. It's always interesting to see two dukes in opposition to one another. Two dukes duking it out. Aw, yeah. Of course, those of us here will always take Duke Alberea's side. Sure, why not? Oh my, the sunset makes the city even more beautiful. I can't miss this opportunity to take a picture. This city really is pretty, but it's taken its toll on my heart. There are so many nobles, and I keep getting assaulted by nerves whenever we pass by one. That's too bad. The highway can be dangerous after sundown, so try to stay away if possible. I've heard rumors of the provincial army strengthening its forces lately, however. Perhaps the highway will become safer as a result. I think we already talked to you last time, but whatever, man. You never know. Artisan Street. As nice as Christie's is, all the stores here are worth visiting too. They cost a fair bit, but we managed to get some nice things here. I found plenty of good deals during my shopping spree. Okay. That's nice. Davos' factory. Those guys over at Auroch's Fort know how to make insane demands. I just finished up an order for a grand total of 50 orbital amplifiers for them. I'm not sure what they plan on using all these for, but I'm starting to get sick of their attitude. Yeah, me too. I'm with you, man. No new customizable weapons. Can be open. Can be opened. Can't be opened. That can be open as well. All of yours are open now. Cool. That's pretty cool. Anything we don't have? We don't have regular demonic scythe, apparently. And we need more freaking time Sepith. Like, more than anything. That's apparently just the way it is. But, yeah. Got 560 EP now. Da-da-da, so we're we could probably give you, like, poison, or... blind. Give you blind. 'Cause you're so blind. That has to be fire quartz, apparently. Guess we can give you heat wave. Why not? Silver thorn. You've got poison already. So we'll give you, I don't know. Something. I don't think Septium Bane stacks. I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. You could use some more art strength, so we'll give you a mine too. Okay. Feed doesn't really have the best art strength, so not a bad thing to have on her. Pickle style. Looks like that one dude's not here. My dad's a real stickler when it comes to his work. It's been 10 years since I started training, and he still refuses to teach me anything but the basics. Adios only knows when he's actually going to let me have the reins. My son is losing his patience. He's ready to get started on some real work. But it doesn't pay to be hasty. Until he can truly feel the soul of the materials he works with, I couldn't possibly leave the shop in his hands. Well, you could. Artisan Street. How you doing? How you doing, Bisque? Welcome! Are you here for a meal or for lodging? If it's the latter, then please check in quick. I got a room at the hotel, sir. Do-do-do-do. There aren't many traveling merchants like me nowadays, thanks to the tax increases. The fact that people can just use the Transcontinental Railroad to import foreign goods doesn't help either. Oh well, there's no sense in complaining. It's not going to change anything. Do-do-do. How you doing, sir? Jilama? I heard Count Gordy visited Turner's store today. He's pretty infamous for making really outrageous demands from time to time. Well, that probably sums up most nobles, to be fair. Duke Alberea included. Pretty much. Bum bum bum. We don't need anything from you. Anybody up here? Nope, nope, nope. Nobody's here. Nobody's hanging out. Do 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 do. Tailoring. I think everybody hates him. How you doing? Did I just hear that correctly? My, that sort of price befits a dress worn by Princess Alphen herself. Thankfully, my daughter realizes we're not the richest family, and will give up on getting it made. I don't know about that. Goodness, I had no idea it would be so expensive. My apologies, but the material you have there requires some very special work. We've also had to raise our prices recently due to the tax increases. As such, we really can't take up the job without an upfront payment of 80,000 mira. How troublesome. We're currently in Chapter 2. There's little issue with this customer's order, you see. I truly am sorry, but the price of custom-made clothing has risen recently. Oh, please don't mind us. Feel free to peruse our wares. I think we got everything from here. Yep. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Bum bum bum. Nope, I played all three Trails in the Sky games. I'm closing up because it's almost time for dinner. I'll close the shutter once those customers leave. I've got plenty of people working here that I need to pay. That's why I gotta up the prices of everything, much as I hate to do so. If you want to complain to someone, take it up with our lovely Duke, who thought it'd be a good idea to raise our taxes. Frickin' taxes. Hate those things. Bum 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 bum. How you doing, sir? Oh man, the day's almost over already. I guess I'll close the gate and make my way back then. Yeah, okay. We don't really have any business out on the highway right now. Yes, let's stay in town. I want to go out to the highway. 'Cause we're on the highway to hell. Okay, let's check out the Nobles District and then call it a day. Bum bum bum. I think we still can't get over to where this chest is.
This looks like a nice spot.
I want that chest, but we can't get there, and it's sad.
Looks like a nice spot.
Any more fish show up here? Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Do, 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 do. How's it going? It's a kitty. Alright, I should be making my way home now. I wouldn't want the delicious meal that my butler is no doubt in the middle of preparing to go to waste. Waste not, want not, and such. Good day, everyone. There's nothing out of the ordinary to report here at the guardhouse. It's beginning to get dark, Lord Eustace. Perhaps you might consider returning to your hotel soon. Perhaps you might consider shutting the hell up. How's that for an idea? Bum bum bum. What would you like to have for dinner then, sir? I'm not entirely sure. I don't seem to have much of an appetite, truth be told. Perhaps you should partake in a light meal instead. Then, how does roasted duck with some truffles for dessert sound? That's a light meal? Okay. Quite fine. Let's go for that. Doesn't sound light to me. I know. Perhaps for a greedy noble it is. Perhaps. Perhaps my appetite was affected by that stone. Alright, he's the one that ate the stone. Ah, Royce, don't forget the wine. A good meal is always accompanied by some 62-year-old au revoir. Very good, sir. Okay. I've had enough of you fools. Nora! On top of being an avid art collector, Master Gordy is also considered a gourmet. Preparing food for him is always a hassle due to this. I can see that. Anybody upstairs? Nope, nope, nope. Nobody's hanging out upstairs. So we're gonna move along. How you doing? You'll never guess what happened. Cattell lost our ball, so we started looking for it, but then Persimmon found it for us. But he went into the house because Mommy and Daddy were busy, and then some stranger came along. Now Big Sis is going out. No fair. Okay. Let me show you what we do back home. Actually, I can't. It's too funny. Okay. Whatever you say, kid. Lord Rufus informed us that you would be staying at the Hotel Esmeralda. Good night, Sir Eustace. Sleep well and such. Ba-da-na-na-na-na-na. We've made arrangements to go see Duke Alberea, but these two just won't behave. I did expect this would be the case, though. Oh well, they'll just have to stay home this year, too. Such a shame, too. I was looking forward to finally introducing them to him. I'm just gonna meander into your home, if that's okay. Apologies for all the rushing about. We plan on making our way over to the Duke's residence soon. After all, I must report to him, even if briefly, on the status of the land he's left in my charge. Arrangements with the Duke have now been made. He said to make our way over during the evening. Alrighty then. Have fun with all that. Lorna. Oh goodness, I almost forgot our gift for the Duke. We procured some good septium from our mines this year, so we decided to bring some along for the Duke. While it doesn't compare to the septium from more established mines, we can't simply show up empty-handed. Well, you know, I could take some off your hands. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. Okay. To the hotel. Let's call it a day. How you doing, sir? Conan O'Brien. I'm waiting for my father to return from his business meeting. I did consider sightseeing on my own, but decided against it. I guess I'm a bit of a coward. I guess you are. Don't be a coward, sir. End the day's field study and return to the hotel? Yep.